Good morning, guys. My name is Technical Sergeant Trina, and once again, I am here with you for another professional development segment called Airmanship 200. So, today, one of the topic that we're going to discuss in Airmanship 200 is going to be excellence. So get ready for that one, guys. It's going to be a lot of fun. But first, let's talk about everything that's going on in the stream right now. This live stream that we're talking about is going to be my opinion alone. The material that we're going to use is going to be provided by 2nd Air Force. But for the most part, all the concepts, answering the questions, like that's not endorsed by the Air Force whatsoever. It's just me talking about my experience with leadership and excellence and so on and so forth. And with that, for those of you who are watching, chat it up. I got the chat open on the side here. If you guys have anything that you'd like to say, or if you'd like to contribute in any way, please do so. I'd be super stoked to see it. And then on top of that, know that whatever you do chat about, or whatever we are talking about, for the remainder or however long that this thing is up on YouTube, right? So now eternity, because once you put something online, it's there forever. People will be able to see that, so they'll be able to see your opinions, what we're talking about, and so on and so forth. So chat it up. And good morning, Sergeant Taylor and Sergeant Clark Wilson. Awesome. Thanks for being here. You guys are awesome. So with that, let's jump right in, right? So, excellence. Excellence is a big term. It's a big deal, and it's something that is very difficult to... I don't know, let's see. It's something that's very difficult to consider in a concept of professional development, I would say. Because usually excellence is something like it's a criteria to meet, right? So there's a couple of things, there's a couple of ways that we're going to talk about excellence. One, we're going to talk about excellence as with a defining criteria. Basically, there is a standard in which you have to meet, and then from there, you either meet or exceed that standard, and that can sometimes be determined or dictated as excellence. And then there's going to be the philosophical sense of excellence, right? There's going to be those ways in which you kind of deem excellence as your own definition of what you think excellence is, or how you can produce such. So, with that, let's jump into the curriculum, right? The objective, help understand the importance and impact of excellence in all we do. It says the lesson time is going to be about 50 minutes, but that's unlikely, guys. We'll see how long it's going to take, especially with user participation. And then it wants us to go over this TSBT model. I don't know how many of you guys heard of the TSBT model, and I'm going to tell you right now, after looking into it, it kind of feels pretty corny. Not going to lie. But the truth is if you look at the TSBT model, and I'm making a point not to tell you guys what the acronym means right now, so don't worry about it. We're going to get to it. But if you look at the TSBT model, and you look at its intentions, and if it's utilized, what do you say, I guess truly or passionately, and I don't want to say passionately. If it's utilized with true intentions, right, if you actually utilize the TSBT model, which is the, we're going to go over it, we have it here. You use it, then from there you might actually be able to improve your organization's ability to produce excellence, because a lot of it is about recognizing things that people do well. So we'll go over that and we'll move forward. All right, so an airman strives for continual improvement in self and service in order to propel the Air Force further and to achieve greater accomplishment and performance for themselves and their community. An airman strives for continual improvement. All right, so we have to look at what we're doing and improve our actions, our interactions, and what we're doing during the day, right? So continual improvement you have to break that up into sections, because we all have so much, everyone does so much during the day, especially with those members, all of us that are in the military, right? So you're doing physical fitness every day, you're doing your job every day, maybe you're doing some professional development, maybe you're doing some education. There's a lot of stuff that you guys are going to be doing every single day. So if we're looking for continual improvement, we need to make some definitions, guys. We've got to look at what we want to improve upon. So you can't say that like, hey, I just want to make myself better, I want to improve. You have to define those things that you're trying to improve upon. If you don't make those definitions, it's really hard to identify what you have to improve upon, or whether or not you're making improvements. If you don't have a standard that you're trying to, like a baseline, let's put it this way. This is how good I am at the thing, whatever that is. And then you have a standard that you're trying to meet, so baseline standard. It's hard to measure in between there to see if you're improving or not improving. So continual improvement it isn't easy in any aspect or in any way, and then in turn, to do that, you have to make sure that you do the work behind the scenes. right? Measure your standard, and then from there, measure your baseline and see where the standard is, or where your improvement factors should be, and so on and so forth. So, excellence. Let's see. We said improve self and service in order to propel the Air Force further, and achieve greater accomplishment and performance for themselves and their community. So the nice thing about this is it talks about your personal standard, your personal improvement, and then also talks about their community. So our community right now is the U.S. Air Force, and then in turn, we got to know that the missions that we're trying to do, you have to have a significant number of people to do. And the reason why I say that is because excellence, a lot of people see excellence as almost selfish, right? Excellence is something you do. It's not. It's something you do, right? But for the most part, excellence should be something that your organization is trying to do. And if you think about it in that fashion, excellence as being an organizational attribute, how do you promote excellence throughout the organization? So my Airman in Tech School, right? How do you guys promote excellence when you guys are in course? How do you guys promote excellence when you guys are in the dormitory? What about off duty? What about when you guys are downtown, or when a lot of you guys haven't been downtown recently, but what about when you guys are around outside establishments or outside of the military whatsoever? Like, how are you promoting excellence, and what are those things that you're doing, right? And really what it comes down to is, like I said, you're meeting a standard, right? You've got your baseline. So one of the things I like to try to do when I have the ability, when I think about it, is I try to make every place that I go a little bit better. Now, defining a little bit better is really difficult, right? So what I mean by that right now is either it's going to be materially, so I go in there and I look around. Is there a piece of trash I can pick up? Is there something that I can do to help somebody who's present? What can I do to have an impact on either the environment or the people that I'm in? Like anything. And it's just like, at this point in time, it's a check mark the box. Like, little piece of trash on the ground. Pick it up, throw it away. And then from there, now what I've done is every place that I've walked into, I've made an impact in some, even if it's essentially arbitrary, I've made an impact to make that place a little bit better. And if we continue to do that, if that standard is propagated throughout the organization, think about if everyone, wherever they go, they do something to make their situation, their environment, the people around them, a little bit better. So maybe that's looking at the individual who's sitting in the cubicle and saying, hey, how's it going? Maybe it's just talking to them and seeing how they're doing, right? Trying to have a personal connection with someone. Maybe it's complimenting somebody on something that you think that they do well. That's the TSBT model, by the way, which we'll get into more detail. But if you can do that, you're going to improve your personal performance, right? So first and foremost, there's two ways to think about that. That's the way that individuals see you, right? So if you're going in there and everywhere you go, you do your best to try and make things a little bit better, that right there is a habit, and that habit, it looks good. I mean, it's not a bad thing, right? Even if it's done without altruistic motives, even if it's done as just a practice, as something because you want to make sure that you look good to your leadership and the people around you, even if that's the case, right? Not for self-improvement, but because you want to influence the people around you to think that you look good. I mean, that's not a bad thing. It really isn't, right? So go ahead. Go in that room. Do it for unaltruistic motives, not because you want recognition. That's fine. Just don't be disappointed if that's not the type of recognition you get. But that's what I mean is, as long as we continue to do that, if we can do that with a majority of members throughout the organization, it's likely that we're going to produce, we're going to start producing some things that we could call excellence. Now, in the military, we have a mission and vision, right? And if we adhere to those mission and vision, we have to ensure that the things that we're doing, right, to produce excellence, we have to ensure the things that we're doing influence that mission and vision, right? We have to make sure that what we're doing can propel that our leader's mission and vision forward and not put it backwards. Because you can be excellent at a lot of things, right? You can be excellent at starting fires. You know what I mean? You can be excellent at starting fires. Like, I'm the best at starting fires, but I'm just burned down the whole building, and that's not going to work out. So think about it. I mean, obviously extreme example, but think about it in that aspect. All right, so there's personal excellence and organizational excellence that we're talking about. There's intrinsic excellence, like as a philosophy, and then there's excellence as a defined criteria that you have to meet. So what we're going to do right now is we're going to move into this excellence YouTube video by the PACE, Profession of Arms Excellence Center, or Profession of something like that. We'll get there, and then we're going to watch this video, and then from there we can continue to talk about excellence. Hopefully you guys can hear. We'll see.
When we told people we were in the Air Force, they always asked, "What kind of plane do you fly?" We didn't all join the Air Force to be pilots. We joined the Air Force because we were different. We saw things differently. We looked for better ways. We expected more out of ourselves. The Air Force was a place where excellence is a standard, not an achievement. We knew we had it in us to do things other people didn't have the strength, the vision, or the courage to do. The world was full of people who would sure try real hard and then tell you they were sorry. That wasn't us. That's not you. We go faster, we go higher, we go farther, we do more, and we do better every day. We find a way. Excellence in everything we do, no matter what you do. There are no small jobs in the Air Force. You don't hide here. This is no place for lazy or having a bad day. There's a reason the crew chief's name is on the plane. Everything matters. The uniform we issued broke the sound barrier. The reports we filed put bombs on target. The meals we cooked fueled this Air Force. Greatness will emerge in the places it is required. Your name may not make the history books or a plaque on a wall, but one day your name will be written in stone, just like ours. We will all be remembered by the people whose lives we changed, by the airmen we served with, by the values we honor every day. Excellence is our standard. Excellence is our tradition. Excellence is not what you reach for. Excellence is the foundation you stand on to reach higher. We were never given permission to be average. Not from our superiors, not from our country, not from ourselves. We gave everything. We didn't leave any jobs for you to finish. We left a mission for you to continue. Aim high, Airman.
That's pretty cool. I mean, excellence as a standard. So I think that a lot of that video talks about is excellence as a standard produced over a large, like if you see that and we're looking at how it's produced over the Air Force, it's this standard of excellence allows us to break the bounds of what we would normally think we could. So that's why we have to have excellence in all we do, right? Because we are a unique organization, and with its ability to, like, our mission isn't like any other mission in civilian service. That's for damn sure, right? Our mission is really about is broken up. It's defending our U.S. Constitution. It's defending our nation, right, and our ideals and American ideas. But with that, it's broken up into each individual, command, and then from there, wing, numbered Air Force. Excuse me. It's broken up into each individual command, numbered Air Force, then wing, group, squadron, and then from there you can kind of find out where you lie. And so for my guys and gals in technical training, think about this: where do you lie in the Air Force's version of excellence? What are you guys doing in technical training? Sitting in your dormitory, sitting in course. What are you doing to promote this idea of excellence? So I want you to kind of please try and think about that as we progress through the rest of this talk. So excellence and our national defense strategy. When considering our national defense strategy, why is it critical that excellence be our standard? Well, excellence needs to be our standard, right? Because we are responsible for the death and destruction of our enemies to the United States Air Force. Now, think about the responsibility of that, like that major response. There is no, essentially, there's almost no single person who has the ability to enact death and destruction in our country, right? We have the responsibility and the awe, the ability to influence that based on the mission needs and whatnot, and in protection of our country and our ideals. Now that is just so huge, and the tools that we have to utilize that, those tools are dangerous. Like our nuclear defense. I mean, excellence that has to be required in that arena, right? Because of how dangerous those tools are, and how easy it would be. I don't want to say easy. How I'd say an error in that arena can be very costly to both life and property, and not just to us, but to the world. So that responsibility is huge. So we need to have some type of standard, and the standard that we call is excellence. And from there's a lot of definitions that are created, and we're going to go over a couple of those, but you guys will have to explore that through the rest of your career. Now, as we move forward, what does failing forward mean to you? Failing forward. Oh my goodness. This is something that I've kind of been considering recently, because I've been really intimidated by a lot of the tasks that have been placed upon me in my position as a military training leader. But even in my personal life, there's a lot of tasks that have been placed upon me that I'm really concerned about, and I don't want to fail. But the idea here is, what does failing forward mean? Right? Failing forward means that, you know what, you do it. You take steps forward. Whatever that goal is that you have in mind, whatever that task is that you need to do that you have a whole bunch of anxiety about, maybe do it. I mean, really, maybe just start. Just start. There is going to be things, especially if you have limited experience in that task, there's going to be things that you don't know. And there's going to be deadlines that you may not meet. There's going to be, you're going to do it wrong. But the idea is to fail forward. Do it wrong. Do it wrong. Do something over nothing. Take action. A big idea of being excellent is taking action. If you take no action, you can't be excellent. That's period. The first thing you have to do is, well, I don't want to say the first thing that you have to do, but at some point in time in your ability to try and produce a level of excellence, you have to do something. You have to act. And as I was doing research for this, I was looking at a lot of I guess organizational missions and visions, and how people think about excellence as a professional development concept. And a lot of people, when they talked about how they produce excellence, they say they produce verbs. They do this, they do that. That's a big thing that Facebook did in their model. One of their things I don't remember the exact terminology, so I'm not going to try and explain it, but a lot of the way that they talked about their mission and vision is they used verbs and things that they did. We do this. We act quickly. We produce things quickly. And because of that, they're able to kind of hold their employees accountable for action. Not that we don't. We absolutely do, but they do that right away in their mission and vision statements. And from Sergeant Clark Wilson, if you fail, learn from it and keep going. That's perfect. I love that. If you fail, learn from it and keep going. And a big thing, a part of that, and I think what to add to that is forgive yourself, right? Because a lot of people dwell on their failures. But hey, here's something that I tell my sons all the time. You got to be bad at something before you're good at it. You have to start. You got to be bad at it before you're good at it. Because there's going to be things that you won't be able to learn until you do the action, right? So plan. I absolutely want you guys to prepare and plan, that's for sure. But I also want you to do and act. All right, so can you display excellence even when you fail? Absolutely, right? Excellence even when you fail is doing your best, right? Excellence when you fail is learning from that failure, identifying what those standards are and what standard you need to get to, and then what were those challenges that prevented you from getting to that standard, and then how are we going to overcome them in the future? So that's huge. Now, what does excellence mean to your work center? So my work center right now, I can utilize this as in a group MTL fashion, right? Excellence in my work center means that airmen are continuing to train. They're continuing to move through the pipeline successfully. They have limited to no disciplinary action. I don't say limited, no. The action taken is appropriate. The disciplinary action taken is appropriate to ensure that the airmen adhere to Air Force Corps values and standards. And then from there, that we instill in them a learning mindset. We instill in them the ability to continue to grow as an individual, as an airman, as a not as a civilian, but as an airman, as an individual in both your professional and your personal desires. I think that's very important, right? I want you to know that I and your team care about you as a person. We care about your professional endeavors. We want you, if you want to make Staff Sergeant your first time, we want you to make Staff Sergeant your first time. Let's think about that. Let's see what we can do to help you plan and make that happen. If you want to do whatever your goals are, if you have personal goals, right? Hey, I need to get my education done. That's what I'm focused on. That's what I want to do. Okay, we got it. We got to get you on a plan for that, right? Which is going to be make sure that you absorb all the information that you need to be your rank, to be the next rank at your level right now. So if you're an A1C, I want you to be prepping. One, absorb everything, be a sponge, learn everything that you need to learn about Air Force standards, customs, courtesies, and our way of life. Because don't get me wrong, the military, the U.S. Air Force, this is a way of life. It's not just a job, guys. And then in turn from there, after you've created a habit of learning those things, because it's not something that you can learn like that. It's something that you got to experience. Make sure that you learn all of your job requirements, right? And when you're in technical training, you know what you're learning? The very basics of your position. Once you get to your first duty location, you're going to do something called career developmental courses, and then on-the-job training and job qualification standards. That's called JQS. And those things are all specific either to the location, well, your CDCs are not, but JQS, job qualification standards, might be specific to your location. So there's a lot of stuff that you have to do first. And then from there, you can branch off, get your college work done, learn about your hobby, do something specific that's completely out of the Air Force even pays for a one-time certification for you to do something that's not necessarily within the realm of your career field as well. So that's kind of cool as well. But keep that in mind, guys. You have to try to adhere to this lifestyle first, and then from there, we will do everything we can as supervisors, as mentors, to help push you in the direction that you want to go. And it's only to our benefit, right? Because really, if you perform, then we can help you, right? If you're good at your position, then we can help you. If you're not good at your position, if you're not good at your job, then we have to focus on the mission, your position, and your job, your adherence to standards. We have to focus on those things first. So those are the things that you guys got to try and get good at right away. Get good at the military lifestyle. Get good at the uniform wear. Get good at standards, customs, and courtesies. Get good at those things. Don't let them drop. You guys learned them in basic training, and then from there, as you transition through the pipeline, as you transition to your first duty location, those are things that your supervisor no longer has to worry about. Then they can focus on helping you learn your job, and from there, sky's the limit, guys. You can move on and do things that you never thought that you'd be able to do because of the support of your leadership. So, can you display excellence even when you fail? Absolutely. You just have to identify those failures, right? And what does excellence mean in your work center? For me, excellence means that I make sure that I take care of my military training leaders, because currently I sit in a group position where I have a military training leaders across our organization. So my goal really is to see how they're doing. And these guys are busy, right? How many airmen are in the dorms right now? There's a ton of airmen in the dorms right now. And then with that, in my organization, I got 31 MTLs right now. So if I have, let's say, 700 airmen, I got 31 MTLs managing 700 airmen. So they're busy. I don't think it's necessarily, it may not necessarily be right for me to look to them and tell them, hey, bring me your challenges. Because they're trying to keep their heads above water sometimes. So I need to seek out opportunities to go see them, to go talk to them and say, hey, how are you guys doing? What can I do to help? So that's what excellence means to me in my work center, I think, is making sure that I can support my group MTLs, my MTLs on the line level, on the squadron levels, and ensure that they do the same. Adhere to standards, customs, courtesies, and so on and so forth. And then from there, I can help them improve their professional and personal capabilities to the best of my ability. Do the little things matter? Oh my gosh, guys. The little things are so important. All right. And now, this is a little bit of my own philosophy in regards to excellence. So the little things. Now, we got to define what little things are, right? I'd say little things are things that have little mission impact. They're standards, customs, courtesies, and procedures or something to that effect that have maybe little mission impact, but are required to be followed for various reasons. Some of which are safety concerns, and in those terms, they're not little things, right? But little things matter because little things are about carelessness. We all know that we can't wear a hat indoors. We all know that you can't have your hands in your pockets while you're in uniform. We all know there are certain rules, and your inability to adhere to those rules, that's a little thing. If you have your hands in your pockets, is it really going to affect the mission whatsoever? I would say that it's unlikely. But here's the deal. If I can't get you to adhere or follow the little things, how can I trust you to adhere or follow the big things? But from a leadership perspective, on the other side, when I'm thinking about little things in my organization, how much do I care about little things? You know, and I'm going to be honest with you. It's the answer is not a lot, but I do want you to do those things, because when a little thing fails, I think it's important for the leader to be very harsh on those little things, because generally, like I said before, I think it's just a lack of attention to detail, or it's the individual not caring. But when a big thing fails, it's probably because a lack of training or a lack of communication. So I really want you guys to do your best to adhere to the little things. You know, look at your room, look at your dormitory room right now, and ensure that you can pass those room inspections, guys. Make sure you check the seals on your fridge. Make sure you clean out, if you have a microwave, clean out your microwave. Make sure that you clean out the seals of the windows. Get all the water spots off the sink. Get all the water spots off the mirror. All that good stuff. Those are the little things, right? And you're asking me, why do those things matter to learning the job? It matters because we want to make sure that you can adhere to the rules and regulations that are placed before you. We want to make sure that's a standard in your life. And if you can't adhere to the rules and regulations that are placed before you, no matter where you go, you can start to produce excellence. This is a system, guys. This is a system, an organizational system that produces excellence. So it's less about you specifically, and it's about trying to get a group of individuals, everybody in the dormitory, everybody in the training squadron, everybody in the Air Force. It's about trying to get them to produce or work at a level that's consistent to hit this term that whatever standards that we're calling excellence. So that's why we're doing those things. That's why your MTLs are so harsh on you for uniform compliance. That's why when you guys are out there doing open ranks and dress, you guys are over there, and the MTL is looking you up and down to make sure that your uniform is worn correctly, that you have the right shaving standards, that you have the right hair standards, all that good stuff, because we're trying to get you to a baseline that will help ensure mission success wherever we go. And whatever mission is put in your place, whatever mission is you're responsible for. So keep that in mind. Little things absolutely matter, for sure. And we need to be harsh on the little things. We really do. Can you deliver excellence while the Air Force does more with less? That's a hard one. Now, I would say the answer is yes. But that doesn't mean that you could potentially have mission success. Because really what we need to do, more with less, means we have to identify the shortfall. If there's a reason why we can't complete mission X, we need to identify that. And then we need to allow our leaders we need to allow them, they need to have the situational awareness to make decisions based upon that. So if we're doing more with less, if we have less resources and then we have more requirements on us, that requires innovation and additional resources. And our leaders need to be aware of that. But you know what I've noticed, and a lot of people talk about, is that innovation doesn't really necessarily come from our leadership. That innovation comes from the ground level, guys. So the work that you're doing, the learning that you guys are doing in technical training, if there's a way that you think it could be done better, maybe speak up. Obviously in a respectful manner at the appropriate time. But maybe speak up, because a lot of us old crusty tech sergeants and above, staff sergeants and above, maybe not staff sergeants and above, but those people who have been in this establishment for a long period of time, we are indoctrinated. We're here. We're in the system. Right? I'm the man that's holding you guys down. Give it to the man. Keep that in mind, because we may have blinders on because of our current our current situation. We've been in the military for this extended period of time. It's hard for us to think creatively or think about things in a different way. So it's always, always good to have that new insight, new ideas. And even if those new ideas might be repeats of old ideas. And because as our environment changes, right, as our technological capabilities change, so does our ability to adapt to certain things. And that might mean that ideas that didn't work in the past because they were missing some linchpin, something that might have made that idea excellent, that might have made that idea work, maybe it does work now. So look at the details, look at your leadership, look at past experiences and so on and so forth, but don't be intimidated by trying something new. We need to. And then let your leadership know too. Be cautious though, all right? You can't just be that idea fairy. And what I mean by that is you can't just be the guy that comes up with something over and over and over, the girl that comes up with something over and over and over again, a different idea, a different way to do things, but doesn't back that up with any evidence or doesn't follow through with maybe a plan to implement. And it's very difficult to do that at your level, guys. It might be really intimidating to talk to somebody of a higher rank than you. It might be really intimidating to give your idea because you feel like you need to be this sponge and learn everything, and you gotta and generally in our rank structure, right? It's big on early on in your career. It's somewhat big on, let's say, the shut up and color attitude, right? Which means do what I tell you. I'm not trying to give you any details right now. I have 250 airmen in the dorms right now. I need you to do what I tell you and get it done so that I don't have to worry about it. So that you don't have to worry about it. So that we can move on with the mission. So look at your environment, guys. Something that we talked about before is assessing your environment. So assess your environment, assess what's going on, assess the customer. So you as an airman in training, your customer, right? Because all we're concerned as MTLs and instructors as your ability to adhere to the curriculum and military standards, customs, courtesies. We're your customer. You're our customer. We're your customer. Look at your customer and say, am I providing work at the level that the customer wants? And then from there you can kind of say yes or no. And hopefully you can make a plan of action to do something. Let's move forward. What is your unit doing that is preventing excellence? Ooh, man. So this is really specific, and as much as I'd love to go into detail about that, I want to keep this conversation really focused on airmen in technical training and what they're doing. And as much as I'd love to ask this question to the airmen in technical training, it may be very few of you guys in the chat. So if you guys are in the chat, what is our unit right now doing? What is your unit right now doing that maybe doesn't support excellence? What is your What is your unit doing that is preventing excellence? So feel free to answer that question in the chat as a student, and then from there we might be able to discuss that. But know that whatever your opinion is on that specific question, especially on the rank structure and the tiers and the information given to you, you might not have all the details, guys. But here's the deal too, is like it might be very important for your leadership to know what your opinions are on that, so that they can either express and communicate to you why things are done the way that they're done, or so that they can help educate you, or maybe they can fix the problem. So all that good stuff. And then what is your unit doing that supports excellence? This is an excellent question. Right now, I think our unit's doing a lot of good things that support excellence, which is adapting to the current pandemic. That is huge, and giving I guess I would say my unit right now is giving the people at the ground level, so people such as myself, the ability to adapt their either work schedules or the way that they work, or even how they do the job to meet mission needs right now with the whole restriction of movement and all that good stuff. So they can micromanage, and they can say, hey, look, this is how we're going to do business. I want you to do this, 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 and this. And in turn, that means that I have to adhere to those disciplines and principles, and I have to try and perform under those constraints. Now, when they open up the floor, innovation happens. They give me the ability to decide what I'm going to work on and how I'm going to work on it to try and improve the environment, the mission, to try and accomplish what we're doing. Now, there's a huge risk there. That's a level of trust that they have to have in their employees and the people that they have, right? My commander has to trust that Airmanship 200 is something that's valuable to do and that I'm capable of doing that. there's a risk there on both sides, right? And that's something that I want to discuss a little bit further too, is excellence in a philosophical sense. Well, here, let's get right here. We got to the final question is, what is our unit doing that supports excellence? And now let's talk a little bit about the philosophical sense of excellence. Guys, excellence is a risk. Excellence is a very real risk, right? Because excellence opens you up. You have to genuinely care to try and produce something that we can call excellence. Philosophically, right? I'm not talking about standards right now. I'm talking about you and your ability and the things that you want to do, and your service commitment, and you say that you want to do work that is considered excellent. It's a risk, because you have to be open to criticism. You have to be open to individuals looking at what you're doing and saying, hey, no, that isn't excellent, and I need you to change how you do it. Right? And that can hurt. That can really hurt. So what I would say is, there's going to be people that you see, there's people that I've seen, right? And there's that general consensus. You'll hear this, what is it? A lot of people say brown nosing and stuff like that. And don't get me wrong, there might be that people who are literally only doing it for the accolades, right? There's people who are really only trying to do good because they want other people to notice, and in turn, and don't get me wrong, like, there's a place for that. There truly is, right? Like, if people are doing good because they want the accolades, fine, give them the accolades. Give them the high fives. Give them the compliments. To me, that's okay. Give it to them. Give them what they want. If they continue to produce excellence, awesome. Awesome. Don't necessarily do that at the expense of others. That's not necessarily appropriate, but do what you can to promote that excellence, and then in turn, hopefully at some point in time, they get more intrinsic value out of it, which means they get value inside from themselves. They're happy because they get to produce excellence over the accolades and the approvals that they get from leadership. So there's two ways to look at that, which is, hey, oh man, that guy's just a brown noser, and it's really frustrating. And then you, on the inside, there's going to be people who do already get that intrinsic value from trying to produce excellence, or from trying to work hard, trying to do well. They already get that, right? And then you're going to have peers, and you're going to have subordinates, and you're going to have leaders who look at you and say, just brown nosing. And that kind of stuff is the hard stuff, because you got to try. That's the stuff where I'm saying you're vulnerable. It hurts, and you got to do your best to continue to produce under that constraint, under that level of people just looking at you like you're trying to take advantage of a system or take advantage of a leadership's attention or something to that effect. You got to look at that and say, hey, look, I'm doing this for my standards, for me. This is the level of service I want to provide, and I feel good doing it. Whatever accolades I get, cool. I don't mind getting accolades. I don't mind being recognized for the work that I do. But I'm doing it because whether or not I get recognized, I'm going to continue to do that. And then another thing that you guys might need to do is focus. Don't focus on others and their share in people's successes, as in congratulate them, thank them, tell them that they're doing well, and help promote this organizational excellence. But then also, you got to stop comparing yourself to other people. You really do. Because the moment that you stop comparing yourself to other people is the moment that you kind of really build yourself. It's the moment that you really start focusing on being a better you. So the only person that you should compare yourself to truly is yesterday, is you from yesterday. And what are you doing right now that makes you even a little bit better? And then in turn, I think the biggest thing about that too, honestly, is forgiving yourself when you don't do anything, right? Because if you focus on your failures, and you don't look at those and try and improve upon them, even if they're little improvements, guys, even if they're little improvements, even if you did 0 push-ups yesterday but you do 5 today, those little improvements do matter because you did something. It's in your brain. It's building those connections, right, that say, hey, I'm creating this habit that's going to help propel me forward in the future. This is my standard that this is the standard I'm trying to get to. This is my baseline, and now I got to figure out the in between. That's how we get excellence. So that's a little bit of my philosophical sense of excellence. All right. And before we get into our main point 2, thanks, specific benefit thanks. Right. So this is the TSBT model. let's talk about, I went and did some research online about excellence and stuff like that. One of the things I want to promote, right? So this is me going through and reading and learning and watching videos on excellence and organizational excellence and stuff like that. We're not going to watch this. It's 15 minutes, but I would love if you guys went out and looked up this TEDx University of Nevada. It's a hard name, but Huggyrao. If you look up this individual, his talk is awesome. It really talks about individual excellence to an extent, and then also organizational excellence and why it's important. So it's 15 minutes of your day, and I can't tell you how valuable it will be. Look, it's really good. So please go over there, look, watch this 15-minute YouTube. You guys will learn something. We're going to go over the TSBT here in a second, but one of the essays that came up while I was Googling excellence and so on and so forth is this one, and I want to read you this. Paragraph. Excel. The root of excellent means to rise, project. To excel is to surpass in accomplishments or achievement, to be distinguishable by superiority, and superiority is not arrogant or egotistical. This superiority speaks for itself. There are no words necessary, and it has integrity, is confident, well put together, and moves with purpose. Excelling is going beyond your stated or implied limit, set by an authority or established by a custom or tradition, and even past achievements. To excel, I must push farther than what I'm asked, transcending what is thought, moving past the norm to reach another level, outdoing my own past, and creating competition. Competition where there is only one person in the game, me. Excelling is continual. It is perpetual. There is no place called Excel City. It is a verb. I'm continually breaking through the ceiling called standard, status quo, or good enough to create excellence. And this is from an essay by Sidney Gaskin, President CEO of Enterprising Life, LLC. And if you notice in that essay, he really talks about him. In that essay, that individual talks about comparing himself to the previous day. I'm not in a race against any other technical sergeant trying to make master sergeant. That makes no difference. It doesn't matter. And in fact, that more than likely, if I'm trying to do that, I'm finding ways to make myself look better than them, and that's not necessarily appropriate. I don't know if that's a teamwork style that I want to propagate throughout the military. I'll tell you that. I'm not sure that's how I want to say, hey, look, that's how you should be focused on making promotion. I don't think that's right. I want you to focus on you. I want you to focus on you yesterday, on you a year ago, and see where you were at and where you are now and what you're doing to improve yourself. That's really what I want. And then I want you to focus on habits. Habits. And those habits, the system that you put in place in your life is what will help push you forward or hold you back. So focus on those habits. And there's a couple of lists. I love reading off lists too. So one of the lists that I developed as I was looking for research, pretty much almost verbatim as I was Googling, there's 10 things to do to ensure that we're promoting personal and organizational excellence. So one of those is respect every individual. You have to respect the people around you. And the nice thing that we do in the Air Force is we all have a common background, right? We've all been to basic training or technical training and so on and so forth. And because of that, we all have somewhat of a common background that we can rely upon and relate to. But from there, we really have to learn about the other individuals, right? You really have to learn about people's past experiences. And the diversity that we have in the Air Force, well, maybe not to the extent that we should have. We should promote and celebrate that diversity, because I'm telling you, like I said in the beginning, new ideas, new perspectives, they help broaden your mind and they help look at the mission in a different way, and perhaps we can accomplish things great in a better way, in a more efficient way, in a greater way, and that's how we can try and have some organizational excellence in that fashion right there. So maybe that's how we work. We do more with less, right? So it's highly important that even when an idea doesn't necessarily look like the right idea, let's look at the risk level with that idea. And there's two things: that maybe we're successful by implementing, or maybe the individual who decided to come up with that idea and follow through with it learns a valuable lesson, right? So think about those things if you can, right? And that's for you guys that are on team. That's for you guys that are in the dormitory. That's my green ropes, my yellow ropes, my red ropes. Anybody who's practicing leadership right now, anybody there, like think about how you guys can try and solve some of the problems that are at your level, right? And just try a bunch of different ideas. Look at the risk level. Look at the mission and vision to make sure you're doing what's in line with your with what your responsibilities are, for sure. All right, so respect every individual. Lead with humility. I think that's a big one as well. I've told the story in previous live streams that as an instructor, it was pointed out that I was very cocky, that I was very confident in my own abilities, but to an extent that was that took away from people's ability to learn from me. And if that's the case, they didn't really walk away with the knowledge. They walked away with a bad experience. And what do they remember more than anything else? What does anybody remember more than anything else? It's highly unlikely that they remember the good experience, but they definitely remember the bad one, I'll tell you that. So really, lead with humility. Do what you know, that as a leader, you're a servant leader, and that you need to make sure to take care of the people around you. And if you do that, I think people will have good experiences. And in turn, while good experiences aren't always memorable, they do allow the individual the mission to proceed instead of focusing on that bad experience. Seek perfection. Ooh. So seeking perfection is never ending. That's number 3. Seeking perfection is never ending. And if we can try and do that, that means that everything that we do in the military is limited by time or resources or manpower, something to that effect. Everything's limited. And if we seek perfection, we have to look at that level of perfection we can provide. So it requires a little bit of planning, but it also means that we have to meet deadlines. So do everything that you can to the best of your ability with the time that you're given and the resources that you're given. And then once you've accomplished that task, or once that deadline has been hit, that's it, guys. That doesn't necessarily, I mean, I'm sure every product that we produce, no matter what, can be done better. And in fact, this is probably something that I need to work on myself. But seek perfection. It's a never-ending process of ensuring that you try and produce good work. All right, embrace scientific thinking. So the idea behind this isn't to embracing scientific thinking means that we got to try and I think it's that model that I was telling you about, where we have our baseline, the in-between, and the standard we want to meet, or what we're calling excellence. And this is where we identify and define what we want to do. So that's that scientific thinking right there. We hypothesize, we test it, we produce, we evaluate, and go on and so forth. That's that norming, storming, performing idea where we are doing our best to create this team and to produce an outcome, and we have to look at whatever, we have to identify our challenges and see what we can do to overcome those challenges. All right, embrace scientific thinking. So focus on the process. Now, this is organizational excellence, right? So what we have to do is we can't have outliers where we have our personal connection with something and we say, hey, look, oh, I know a guy. Let's do that. I'll call him. He'll get it done in a heartbeat. Boom. Hey, what's up? Done. Easy. That's always good. That is always good, but it's not a process. So if we're going to have organizational excellence, right, based off of personal excellence, we have to create a process, which is why we probably have a lot of the things that we have in the Air Force right now that kind of feel a little bit convoluted, right? I want my MTLs to do dorm inspections in a specific way. I want them always to go to the right-hand side. I want them always to go to this area first, go around, blah, blah, blah. And then from there, if they inspect that way every single time, 1, it's essentially fair. And 2, they do the same standard is met to every single room. It doesn't feel like there's any favoritism, and then they have created a process in which we can rely upon. Now that right there is a measurement of success, because now when there's an issue, we can go back to, and when I say there's an issue, I can go into a lot of detail about this, but really, if there's an issue, we can go back to the process and see if the process is the one that caused the issue, or if what we're doing is reliable. And that reliability is important for success, right? So focus on the process. And then it says, assure quality work is accomplished, right? So look at the work you're doing, look at the customer, and you have a customer. Wherever you are, whatever you're doing, you have a customer. If you're a student, right, your customer is going to be your MTLs, your instructors, your commander. That's your customer. You're doing work for that individual. Yes, they're doing work for you, but you are absolutely doing work for that individual. And because of that, what we got to think about is we got to think about what they want, to some extent. We got to think about what they want, and we have to try and produce work that is valuable for the customer. So that means that if really what I want you to do, man, I want you to learn. I want you to learn. So learn, right? Do the best work that you can. That means maybe you need to study more than others. Maybe you need to get in groups to study. See what you can do to help influence that, and look at the work that you're supposed to do, and define that work. If you don't know what it is, talk to your MTLs. They'll help you define it. Now, evaluate your leadership's priorities. So evaluate your leadership's priorities. And right now in technical training, I really want you to adhere to customs courtesies principles, and I want you to learn your job, and so you can get to your first duty location to be an operational asset. And that's our leadership's priorities. They want you, for those members in special warfare, we want you to get your beret, guys. We want you to go out there and be an operational asset, which means that if you guys are downtown right now, you should be thinking about what you're doing. You shouldn't be going crazy or doing anything. If you guys are old enough to drink, you should be doing it responsibly. And you should ensure that you're doing it. Make sure that you're allowed to while you're in course. Do it in the right way, do it responsibly, have a wingman, and make sure you have a plan. All those good things. And if you're not old enough to drink, don't do it. Just don't do it, guys. And you'll hear it like 100 times, or you probably already have heard it 100 times, but there's a reason why people continue to tell you that. So make sure that you're being responsible in your endeavors to be an operational asset in the United States Air Force. All right, next, think systematically. So this is why your personal excellence matters, because we have to have organizational excellence for the important missions that we have to accomplish. So think systematically, create a system, create habits, adhere to the processes and procedures. Even if you feel they're dumb, adhere to them. Explain why they're dumb once you get to a point where you can do that, and then try and produce change to create a better environment, to innovate. And so think systematically. Link work with a purpose. I think this is a big one, guys. Link the work that you do with a purpose. Some of you guys, I think, and I've seen it down in the dormitory right now, I know that the special warfare pipelines are long, and for those of you who aren't in special warfare, maybe this might be a little bit easier for you. But having an extended pipeline like this and having any setbacks or any leave or any injuries or stuff like that sometimes it can really hurt you mentally in regards to knowing your purpose. So keep that purpose visible. Write it down. Keep it visible so you know what you're doing. And then from there, link the work that you do with that purpose. And you get to do that. It doesn't have to be me or the commander or whoever else's priorities. You can have a different purpose than what we're talking about here. Hey, I need to be an excellent airman because I want to make sure that I make a rank quickly so that I can have a higher quality of life than I had as a civilian. Right? Like, you know that with additional rank comes, not only does it come with additional responsibilities, but comes with additional pay. But in turn, you want to live a higher quality of life than you had before. So, it's important for you to make rank. And that's okay, guys. The thing is we're going to help develop you in both that way, personally on a level so that you can accomplish your goals, but then also professionally so that that's not one of the only focuses that you're thinking about as you guys move and progress through the ranks. Because with rank comes additional responsibility, and it comes more servant leadership with every single rank. So keep that in mind. Now, reevaluate what your customer needs. So after you do all those things, reevaluate your customer. So after you produce the work, just take a little while to reflect on that, guys, and think about whether or not the work that you did was as valuable as it should have been to the customer. Did you produce the best work that you could produce? So keep that in mind. Those are the 10 things that we talked about, or 10 lists. So, 10 lists. The 10 attributes that we need to do to have excellence. So, respect every individual, lead with humility, seek perfection, embrace scientific thinking, focus on the process, assure quality work is accomplished, evaluate leadership priorities, think systematically, link your work with your purpose, and reevaluate the work that you did for the customer. All right. Wow, we're really close to 10 o'clock right now. So let's go over this TSBT model, and we're going to do it quickly, but that's okay. So this is thanks, specific, benefit, thanks. So the idea right here is this is the activity. Recognize the excellence in your mentors. Well, not necessarily. We'll go over here because I'm not going to have you do the thing. So here it is. One powerful way to drive results in your team is to reinforce the right behaviors. TSBT feedback model is an industry standard tool that helps leaders be confident in their ability and responsibility deliver immediate positive feedback on the good things that happen every day. It helps evaluate a leader's focus beyond reactive problem solving to proactive team building. This model reminds leaders that encouragement, along with the focus on infusing the vision, has the power to increase the commitment, loyalty, and trust, aka organizational glue, among teams. Practice walking through the following 4 steps in daily conversations to increase your trust in your teams. Hearing consecutive positive feedback from a boss or peer or even a subordinate helps others develop an awareness of actions that are most valuable to the organization's mission and its leadership. So I try this on focused feedback approach. So basically what we're talking about is we're saying, hey, look for ways to recognize your peers, your subordinates, and your leaders. Look for ways to recognize them. Thank you. Tell them thanks for the work that they've done. So here's an example. Share a heartfelt thanks for individuals' contributions. Seek out the bright spots. Specific. Describe the specific behaviors you valued as a way to inspire future behaviors. Benefit. State how this behavior benefits your big picture organizational vision and goals. Thanks. Thank them again. So, hey, look, I get it. It sounds corny. But what I want you to think about too is, one, if your leadership takes the time out of their day to legitimately practice this, how awesome is that? Look, for real. It may not necessarily feel genuine, but the thing is they're trying to be inspirational leaders. They're trying to genuinely recognize the work that you're doing, and they're trying to be effective at doing that, right? They want to make sure that they want to make sure that you know that they care about you. And even if they're doing this specifically because they want to have a more excellent organization, that is awesome. That is great. So I just want you to think about that. Even if we go at the face value of somebody just trying to do this because they want their organization to be better, you know what that means? That means that they're trying to look at your specific contributions. They're literally seeking out to see your specific contributions. They're being specific about what those contributions are and how they help the mission. They're stating the benefit of what you did, and then from there they're thanking you again. I mean, I don't see a downside to that. It might at times feel disingenuous, but really what we need to do is we need to focus on the reality of the situation, which is, even if it does feel disingenuous, the motive behind it is still good. So keep that in mind, guys. So if you want to know more about the TSBT model, go ahead and go to the PACE website and you can get this material. So think about that. So feedback. One of the things it says right here, how timely and accurate is your feedback? Feedback is very important for excellence. Like I said during the course of this stream, excellence means that you got to open yourself up. You got to open yourself up to produce better, and you have to identify when you're not producing. And because of that, sometimes that hurts. It really does. Sometimes when people give you feedback about the things that you're doing and it's not the feedback that you wanted, it can be a little bit disheartening. And that's okay, guys. We need that. Even when you get feedback that you don't agree with, it's valuable. And the reason why it's valuable is because that individual who's giving you feedback that you don't necessarily agree with, there's other people who agree with him or her. So you got to look at that feedback, and you need to somewhat take it to heart and look at what your actions are and what you're doing, what your responsibilities are, and what you can do to affect change in those individuals. So, awesome. All right, guys. Today we discussed excellence in all we do. Our nationals. We didn't really discuss the national defense strategy, but we did discuss the TSBT model. The commitment to excellence is more than desirable in the profession of arms. It's essential. Lives depend on the fact that we are maintaining high standards. General Michael E. Ryan. Guys, I'm pretty stoked about that. I feel like this went pretty well. Keep in mind, excellence is something that we have to define, right? And then there's our philosophical sense of excellence, and then there's those definitions of excellence that we can go over. On a separate note, Airmanship 200. We're at 10 o'clock right now, which is great. What we're going to do now, guys, is based off of the concepts that we've already discussed and covered, Airmanship 200, and with the current, I guess, transition back to regular work schedules coming up here shortly and happening as we speak. Airmanship 200 is a program that's supposed to happen at the line MTL level with face-to-face conversations. And as we've gone through this material, I mean, a lot of you guys have seen that. So it's likely that we're going to go back to that model. especially with us transitioning back to a regular work schedule. So what I mean by that is I need to look at the priorities that I have and try and make sure that I'm accomplishing the things that I need to accomplish as a group MTL. And adjusting back to a normal work schedule means that I won't necessarily have the same opportunities to provide this live stream. So it's been an absolute joy to do this and hopefully to be a part of your lives, my airmen's lives in the dormitories, and hopefully give you guys some concepts and talk about things that maybe we weren't talking about before. So with that, I'm not sure if we're going to continue doing the Airmanship 200 live stream in the future right now. And with that, what I'm looking for is I'm looking for one of my other fellow MTLs or NCOs to step up and maybe even move this thing further in the future. So I appreciate everything that you guys did. I appreciate everybody who viewed, and I'm looking forward to seeing what the future holds for Airmanship 200 and where the Special Warfare community is going to go and where my MTLs are going to take it. Thank you guys very much. As of right now, next Tuesday, just stand by if you guys want to log on and see if we have the stream. Great. If you don't, it's not a big deal. We'll still hopefully consolidate any airmanship or leadership material on the Airmanship 200 page, and you guys can look through the videos and watch those. I appreciate everybody who's participated and helped me be successful in this endeavor. You guys are great. Honestly, thank you very much. And I guess I will see you when I see you. All right, guys. Till next time.